So at this time, we're going to have our presentation. Our presenter is going to be Jim Kirkos, President and CEO of the Meadowlands Chamber. He'll be speaking about the 2026 Flag City Fan Festival and some plans the Chamber has for the Meadowlands complex. Jim, the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the trustees. David said that I've been at this podium a number of times and I'm a friend of NJTPA, and that is a true statement, and that is because the work, and that's because the work that you do is really important. And I'm going to share a little bit with you about two important initiatives for us here today. One, obviously, World Cup and our Flag Cities concept, which was established about 3 years ago. We, as an organization, looked back at what took place during the 2013 Super Bowl. We felt like we missed an opportunity back then, and we said that in the future, if we're able to bring in a big event to MetLife Stadium and it has a great impact on the region, we need to be better, we need to do things differently, and we need to create some opportunities for local businesses and local communities to have a role and have a play in it, because we can't just assume that the entity like NFL or FIFA or anyone else is going to do that on our behalf. We have to do it on our behalf ourselves. And so we embarked on and created a concept called Flag Cities. It was intended to celebrate the flags of the countries playing at each of the 8 games at MetLife Stadium. And we developed a concept. The initial concept was for 5 communities to be a part of the thing. We're going to do a Flag Cities the day before each one of the games. That was our original intent. I'm happy to say that your very own trustee, Jim Tedesco, County Executive of Bergen, was the earliest adopters. And when we showed Jim and his team the concept, he was like, I'm all in, let's go. And we've grown to include Essex and Hudson, and I'm going to share that with you now. So Flag Cities is a partnership between the Chamber, our Tourism Bureau, which is called Meadowlands Live, CVB, and Axiom Communications, which helps us produce the events. Goya was an early adopter and sponsor, so it is Goya Presents Flag Cities. We have since also included Hackensack Meridian Health as a partner in this. You told me not to press. And like I said, the introduction of what Flag Cities was really to make sure that we were getting into the communities and having everyone participate. Not everybody gets to go to a ticket. The ticket prices are obscenely expensive. And so, but we wanted to make sure that local businesses, residents in the community were able to celebrate the fact that we were attracting this big event right to our backyard. And so the opportunity was, how do we do that? We're going to create really cool fan festivals in a bunch of communities. And those communities initially were Bergen County at Overpeck Park, Secaucus at Laurel Hill Park, East Rutherford, which is now going to be at Riggins Field, right off of Route 17. We have now included Newark at Mulberry Commons, Jersey City on Christopher Columbus Drive, and thankfully under the leadership of Governor Sherrill, with the addition of the large event grant to entities like ours, we're now going to be able to include Patterson at Hinchcliffe Stadium, Bayonne, and perhaps Hackensack. And so these are some great additions. There'll be 7 or 8 Flag Cities by the time we're done. And these things will allow us to penetrate into our communities and give our residents and local businesses an opportunity to not only do some business, but also to touch and feel the excitement behind the World Cup. We felt that was important. And so we're gratefully thankful to the administration for the assistance in the grant award. We're one of the large grantees, awardees for this, and that's going to enable us to produce the events, cover the security costs, enhance the entertainment, and expand the number of locations we can do that. And so you can see up on the screen here the game schedule, which was initially USA Paraguay is going to be at Columbus Avenue in Jersey City on June 12th. The second one is in Overpeck Park, June 14th, it's a Sunday. And we have Germany and Kirkos, and Netherlands and Japan. at Laurel Hill Park will be Sunday, June 21st. Mulberry Plaza in Newark will be Wednesday, June 24th in the evening. East Rutherford will be Friday, June 26th. And additional dates are being established right now for the additional communities that we'll be serving. And these takes are very complex. They take a lot of planning. It takes a lot of coordination with county governments and local municipalities. Everyone has been fantastic. It's gotten really complex with the security measures, and we're working with all the local PDs, the county PDs, and obviously state police and all the entities that provide security, because we want to make sure that every location can be secured properly, and we can do this in a safe but fun manner. The program structure: there'll be vendor villages, there'll be cultural festivities, there'll be soccer festivities with entities from the Red Bulls and the Cosmos at each one of our events. We want to bring families out. These are family events. The vendor villages will have local vendors from each one of the communities that allows them to do some business there that day. And then we'll have some entertainment. I wish I could reveal to you today, but we're doing a press event tomorrow to reveal some of the early entertainment. And that was embargoed, very, very strictly embargoed. They knew I was coming here today. So look out for it tomorrow, and you'll see some entertainment for some of the early events that we have. Some good names. It's going to be very fun. This is just, I'm not going to read through all of these. This is just a list from our early press events and announcements, just how much excitement there is. Every one of those links is a press link. Every one of those links. We have over $4 million in earned media on just a handful of press events that we did. So why did I put that there? It shows the excitement. It shows the desire for people who want to be a part of these events and to capitalize on the fact that we're bringing the world's greatest event into New Jersey. And me as the leader of a business service organization, my intent here is just to make sure we leverage it for business, for tourism, for notability for New Jersey. And it's not just about my area. My area is what I call it the Greater Meadowlands. And at one time, 24 years ago, when I took over the organization, it was 14 municipalities that made up the Hackensack Meadowlands Development Commission. Over the years, because of our tourism efforts, we've grown to a much larger, I call it the Greater Meadowlands. And that covers parts of Hudson, parts of Essex, and most of Bergen County. It's a broader region. And the economic impact of something like this needs to be big. But like I said in my early comments, we need to take ownership of it. We need to do this as partnerships, the way we have here with Flag City. Create these opportunities. I call it creating a there. Giving some people. So when visitors come from other countries or domestically to our area, we want them to spend their discretionary dollars right here in New Jersey. If we don't give them a reason to spend their discretionary dollars, it's real easy, thanks to New Jersey Transit and to Port Authority and others, it's real easy to get on a train or a bus to get to New York City. My job is to make sure they stay in New Jersey and spend their discretionary dollars here. And so that's what Flag Cities is all about. So you can see just how much press there was on all of these items here. And these are the grant recipients that was posted. So you can see where they are, Flag Cities and North to Shore. And we're partnering with our friends at the New Jersey PAC to help them with their North to Shore. We're sharing resources where we can with even the smaller community experiences. We've promised that anybody that needs some help, we will share any of our resources if we can, and both the vendor resources so that they can all be successful. And if you take a look at that, if all of these events take place, New Jersey, and this is going to be throughout the entire state of New Jersey, New Jersey is going to have a real good experience with World Cup. And the fact that only 80,000 people get to go into that stadium every game, and we're hoping that the 1 million people that are expected in addition to those 80,000 people do come to New Jersey so that we can capture their discretionary spend and showcase New Jersey for all the great things that we love about New Jersey. I'm going to pause for a second, and David, am I allowed to ask if anybody has a question?
Of course.
Okay. If anybody has any questions about Flag Cities, I'd be happy to do that. I'm going to move into a second initiative that we have in a minute.
Any questions to my right? Any questions to my left?
So just,
Sean.
what's the difference between Flag Cities and, community experience?
No, also community experiences were the small events. So when Choose New Jersey through the EDA put out their grant applications, you could apply to be a large grant application or a small grant application. The large grant application had criteria that had multiple locations as part of that criteria. Flag cities had multiple locations, so we qualified for the large grant, and so those were the regional events. The community experiences were considered small grant applications, and those are the entities that won the small grants.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board members? Anybody from the public have a question at this time? In the back, sir?
Just a quick question, Jim. Are any of the attendees at the Flag Cities being charged? How's that working?
Yes, that's a great question. So yes, but we kept it at a minimum. Adults at $20, children at $10, and in Jersey City there were 2 sponsors that stepped up to make it a free event in Jersey City, and that's because the Christopher Columbus Drive there was not necessarily easy to fence around to try to create a closed environment. So 2 sponsors stepped up, and that's the Jersey City event's going to be a free event. But we kept it as nominal as possible, because even with the grant award, quite frankly, the grant award was a 50% match. So it's going to cost us a significant amount of money, and we needed to raise money through sponsorships and nominal ticket sales.
Anyone else in the public? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The goal here, ladies and gentlemen, was so that on July 20th, we look back and we say that we did everything we could to create some really good experiences for visitors and, more importantly, for New Jersey residents right here in New Jersey. And I think with successful operations at Flag Cities and a little bit of help from our friend in heaven, we will have great events and we'll accomplish that goal. I want to move on to something else, a great initiative. Some of you may have seen this initiative of ours. This is a visionary type of project. We believe that the Meadowlands Sports and Entertainment Complex is an economic engine for all of New Jersey, certainly all of North Jersey. And for a good number of years now, and probably more than I want to admit, we've been advancing a concept of demolishing the arena and building a multi-use youth and amateur sports and meetings and conference convention center on that site. I'm going to take you through that now. Governor Murphy, thanks to the efforts of Senator Sarlo, a few years ago, he was able to get us $500,000 in some seed funding to do a scoping assessment of the project. And Governor Murphy gave us $2 million because they liked what they saw in an economic market analysis and an economic impact study that we had done. I'm going to take you through that real quick. Why we're here is because it's an underserved market. New Jersey only has 1 convention center. We have some small expo centers, one in Raritan, one in Secaucus, but only the convention center is in Atlantic City. And we believe this market, through a company called Hundred Strategies, the folks that did this market analysis for us, they outlined the fact that the New Jersey, New York metropolitan market is almost 2 million square feet short of meetings and conference space. With all the hotels we have, 2 million square feet short compared to other major markets around the country. And so that a 500,000 square foot convention center that we're modeling out could be very, very successful. These are the factors for successful for a multi-use convention center. They told us we checked every box that was important there. Easy access to a large market, destination appeal, hotel packages, competitive pricing, especially with our friends in labor, and walkable hotel rooms, which we anticipate building on site at the sports complex. Elements for success, we've met all the elements. I'm not going to read through these here, but the report indicated that we meet all the elements for a potential successful operation of a convention center here. And again, this company here, Hundred Strategy, they do this all over the country. That's all they do is evaluate projects like this, and it just makes total sense. Trade shows, conventions, consumer shows, different types of assemblies, both religious and meetings, conferences, large-scale banquets. We don't have a place anywhere in New Jersey outside of Atlantic City to do a banquet of 2,000 or 3,000 people. When we have to do a governor's ball or something that's big, where there's 3,000 people, we got to go to the field at MetLife Stadium. Where this year Governor Sherrill chose to go to American Dream, which was pretty awesome. But we don't have a large facility to do that. And every single time we get these big events, and I'm going to share this with you, lost business opportunities was one of the factors that kept us driving forward. Every time we've done a big event, Super Bowl came to town, we didn't have an event facility to do the NFL experience. 8 days, 50 to 60,000 people a day go to the NFL experience, and it went to New York City on Super Bowl Boulevard because we did not have a facility in New Jersey anywhere to do that. 2 WrestleManias were at MetLife Stadium. Both of the fan experiences were in Brooklyn Pier. Again, we lose not only the hotel rooms, but all of that fan experience, all the people that want to be around the fan experience and go someplace else. So that lost business opportunity was something that kept driving us as to why we would want to repurpose the arena site into something else. Corporate meetings and training, more importantly, local youth and amateur sports and competitions. That youth and amateur sports competitions is a $19 billion market in this country right now. And those of you that have children know you've chased them around the soccer fields and halls where they're doing cheering competitions and wrestling and basketball and so, and that was super important. Right, the youth experience was there. We don't have anything there, and it made sense for us to include this element in whatever we built at the sports complex, or whatever we could build at the sports complex. We want to complement the existing assets. American Dream, MetLife Stadium, Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment. This convention center is complementary in multiple ways to each one of the units. And part of the criteria that was given to us by Governor Murphy's office when they provided us with the $2 million to do the scoping assessment was that we also had to include a transportation master plan for the sports complex. And for the last 4.5 months, almost 5 months, we engaged WSP, and they are about to give us their final recommendations for how to improve the ingress and egress at the Meadowlands Sports Complex, not only with the addition of the convention center, but even if the convention center isn't built, what are recommendations to make mobility better and smoother at the sports complex? As it turns out, every one of the entities I just showed you a minute ago, American Dream, the stadium, and the racetrack, every time they did their project, they had to do a transportation plan for their project, but they were not made to do a transportation project plan for the entire complex. We're doing one now, and we will present that to the governor's team. And that's what we thought. One of the reasons, David, I wanted to bring this here and talk a little bit about this here today was because that mobility is so important to this organization. And the project component was laid out. So we want to build a 460,000 square foot convention center, 300,000 square foot floor, 100,000 square feet of meeting space, 60,000 square foot of banquet space in addition to the floor, and then along with that, a 1,000-room hotel on site. Here's the economic impact, ladies and gentlemen, $30 billion over 30 years. I cannot take that report and stick it in a drawer and forget about it. $30 billion over 30 years, I'm not sure there's another project listed anywhere in New Jersey that has a $30 billion economic impact over 30 years right now. And so that's why we've been so headstrong about continuing to advance this project in such a way that can really drive the economy in certainly all of North Jersey, but more importantly, for New Jersey itself. The jobs, both permanent and construction, and the taxes generated to local communities are enormous. So this is the site, right? That green area you're seeing right there is the site of the arena, right? So it's the entire arena footprint and the entire lot 26, which is a surface parking lot, right due east of the arena. That's it, just those 2 particular pieces. That's what it looks like from above. It's what we've laid out. It's right on that site, so I'm going to go back. You'll see that. And that's the site above. Right? We did not affect any of the roadways. All the east peripheral and west peripheral roads, which are on the site, go underneath the building. We maintained the surface parking lot. This is a stacked building that stacks up. We added 2 levels of parking to add the increase for parking for the whole facility. That's a view. You can see the hotel. It's a 1,000-room hotel. It's another view looking from the north at 120 and then the buildings. Little dusk view. inside the concourse of the convention center as you approach the what we're calling an arena. We tasked the architectural firm, which is a company called TVS out of Atlanta. Their design, they do this all over the country also, along with Hunden. And we tasked them with understanding our site. They took the market analysis that Hunden Strategies put together, so their designs are reflective of how to be successful with the report that came from Hunden. And you'll see the stackable airing views of Manhattan were really important. This is the most important piece. So we're taking down an arena, but there's a 5,000 to 6,000 square foot arena inside the convention center as a component of the operation. All of those lower level tier seats pushed back against the wall. Those 3 mats could become 9 mats. All the upper seating there would remain permanent. And that particular facility could do all kinds of shows, performances, and more importantly, youth and amateur sports in so many different ways. Here's the expo floor, the convention center floor, with a car show. This is the concourse. We stacked, as I said before, we stacked the buildings, so the upper level of the convention center is the grand ballroom, which would hold 3,000. So it could do a 3,000 person banquet and have this concourse on the outside with direct views over the top of American Dream, unimpeded, looking at Manhattan. And that is our initiative, ladies and gentlemen. We feel strongly that something like this should be done. We are going to conclude our scoping assessment by the end of May, perhaps the middle of June. We're going to seek some additional funding from the legislature to expand some of the scoping that we did not complete with the $2.5 million of engineering and analysis. And we're going to hope that Governor Sherrill and her team sees the merit of advancing this particular project in some way, shape, or form, and we will continue to do this. So, early on, when Melissa was helping me do some slides, she had a slide presentation that I did from back in 2016 at this very podium, and we talked about a little bit about visioning. I'm hoping that I won't be here in 2036 talking about the convention center. I very much appreciate the opportunity to share both of those initiatives with you. They're both very important to the region, to the economy, and more importantly, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for the work that you do here at NJTPA. Thank you very much.
You want questions on?
Yeah, please, I'll be happy to.
If there's any. To my right, anybody have any questions? To my left, anybody have any questions? Anybody from the audience have any questions? There we go.
I got some.
He's got more scopes. Yeah, Commissioner Shaw, I'm sorry.
I know it's in infancy, but like, how much does this cost? How's it financed? Who pays for it? And who operates it?
Yeah. So convention centers in general are not a commercial profit-making entity. So this would be something that the state would need to bond for. It's likely to be somewhere between $2 and $3 billion. It's a big project. There could be a public partnership on the hotel side. The market analysis required additional hotels to be built. So it's bold. It's big, and but on a $30 billion return over 30 years, the ROI is significantly there. We are working through the funding mechanism right now with some consultants and experts to see where the revenue would come to pay back the bonds on something as big as that, and we will only present something that makes sense to the government. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Timeline. You mentioned still it's in its infancy stages, but best case scenario, when do you consider it?
Oh, tomorrow. Listen, we've been working on this a really long time. Best case scenario is if the governor and her team likes this, we could advance it in 27, and we can cut the ribbon before the end of 2030. And the first thing we would need to do is we would need to demolish the current arena and work on the site, and then continue from there. And so that's the desired timeline, and I hope we can advance it.
All right, I have a gentleman in the front row here.
Has the state considered, or are they concerned about the impacts of this on Atlantic City and South Jersey? Because that's a big part of their economy.
Yeah, sure.
This type of activity.
We posed this very question, thank you for your question, we posed this very question to the team at Hunden Strategies. And the fact of the matter is, the meetings and events that go to Atlantic City, and the conferences that go to Atlantic City, because of the gaming and that, are very different than would take place here in the New York metropolitan market. We've even spoken to the folks at Jacob Javits Center. Like Jacob Javits Center now has 1.5 million square feet of space they can rent in multiple forms. And so taking a 300,000 square foot show out of Javits Center and sending it to us allows them to sell bigger shows. So they're not going to fight us, right? And then I think the way New Jersey has to look at this is what's good for New Jersey, right? And a convention center on the north and a convention center on the south is just good for New Jersey. And we don't want to hurt Atlantic City Convention Center or the Atlantic City period. That's never our intent, right? We think it could be collaborative in many, many ways. And quite frankly, we think the Atlantic City Convention Center may need some renovations, and we would support the upgrading of the Atlantic City Convention Center while we're building a Meadowlands Convention Center.
Start in the back.
Jim, very interesting project. Have you looked at the impacts to transportation or transit? I used to work for the Meadowlands Commission many, many years ago, and we looked at possibility of connecting the HPLR into that area, and then connecting to the rail line.
Yeah, it's a great question. Transportation is a big component. When Chief of Staff Diane Scassetti, who was at DOT and she went to work for the governor, she was the one that basically said we need to do this transportation master plan for the sports complex. We're looking at that. And the early vision for the convention center had us linking all the properties at the convention at the sports complex via some type of monorail, right? The train station, track, stadium, the hotel, American Dream, and so forth. I'm not sure what rendition would come next. It's probably going to be a rubber wheel version simply because of cost. But the connectability is really, really important. Some of the images that I showed, let's see, back here. This top-down one here, you can see that there's a walkway that goes on the outside of that building from Route 120. There's actually a new one. We're going to take that walkway over 120 and put it right over to the train station. So pedestrian-friendly can walk from the convention center over the top right to the train station if the train was active. They could also be connected to American Dream. So there'll be connections to American Dream, and there'll be connections to the transit hub. We just didn't anticipate what the next version of transportation was going to be at the sports complex. It was a little bit too hard. We're working on the ingress and egress mobility to improve the time it takes for people, attendees, attending an event. And WSP's model was very, very sophisticated. We asked them to do worst case scenario and best case scenarios. Worst case scenarios, 50,000 person concert at MetLife Stadium, getting out not too far when a convention was leaving the convention center. What does that look like? How long does it take to get out? Where are the bottlenecks on the existing infrastructure? And what would we need to do to that existing infrastructure to ease that pain? And so that's what they're working on. But thank you. And yes, the transportation is the #1 piece that we're working on.
All right, thank you, Jim, for the presentation and on both presentations. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much.